The Persians called it impossible. 25,000 of the great king's finest warriors lined up on a Greek beach, waiting for 10,000 Athenians to break themselves against Persian spears and arrows. The math looked simple, the outcome seemed certain. But math doesn't account for rage, and certainty crumbles when men decide they'd rather die running forward than live kneeling down. This is Marathon. 490 years before Christ, the day democracy refused to die. If you value documented ancient military history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from Herodotus and archaeological findings from the Marathon battlefield. Now back to the story. Darius I controls an empire stretching from India to the Aegean, 20 million subjects. Tribute flowing from Babylon, Egypt, and Anatolia. But two Greek cities burned Sardis in 498, Eretria and Athens. The great king doesn't forgive. He doesn't forget. 6 years later, 600 ships carry 25,000 Persian and Median troops across the wine-dark sea. First stop, Eretria. 6 days of siege. The city falls. Every man, woman, and child shipped east as slaves. The Persian machine operates like clockwork. Artaphernes commands the land forces. Datis leads the Median cavalry. Hippias, the exiled tyrant of Athens, guides them to Marathon. He knows the ground. He knows the politics. 40 years earlier, his father Pisistratos landed at this exact beach and seized Athens. History repeating. Hippias expects terrified Athenians to surrender without fighting. He's wrong. Athens stands alone. Sparta promised help, but won't march until the moon is full. Religious law, the Plataeans send 1,000 hoplites. That's it. 10,000 Athenians plus 1,000 Plataean allies facing 25,000 Persians on a beach 26 miles northeast of Athens. The Persian cavalry alone outnumbers the entire Greek force. The numbers tell the story. Each Persian archer carries 60 arrows in a leather quiver. 15,000 archers means 900,000 arrows. Scythian composite bows punch through bronze at 200 paces. Persian immortals wear scale armor and carry 6-foot spears. Median cavalry rides Nisaean horses, bred for size and speed. Greek hoplites have bronze breastplates. Hoplon shields and 8-foot spears. Superior protection, inferior numbers. Miltiades knows the numbers. He knows the odds. He also knows something else. Persian tactics work in open ground with time to deploy. Give them space and hours. They'll shred you with arrows, then finish you with cavalry charges. But compress the battlefield. Force them into a narrow killing ground. Make it about bronze and muscle instead of horses and bows. Maybe, Greeks can win. The beach at Marathon runs 4 miles long, but only half a mile deep. Mountains behind, sea in front. The Persian camp sits at the southern end where the Karadra stream meets the bay. Perfect landing site. Terrible fighting ground if you can't maneuver. Miltiades positions his 10,000 1 mile north of the Persian position. Close enough to threaten, far enough to choose the moment. Archaeological surveys confirm the battlefield layout. The Greek position commanded high ground overlooking the coastal plain. Persian ships beached in the natural harbor formed by the stream delta. Pottery sherds and bronze fragments mark both camp locations. The killing ground between measures exactly 8 stadia, 1 mile of death. For 4 days, nobody moves. Persians wait for their cavalry to finish scouting. Greeks wait for Spartan reinforcements that aren't coming. Every morning, Athenian generals debate in council. Aristides argues for defense. Themistocles wants to attack. Miltiades casts the deciding vote each day. Attack, attack, attack. Finally, Callimachus. The war archon agrees. Dawn of the 5th day. September 12th, 490 BC. Intelligence reaches both camps. Greek slaves escaped from Eretria report Persian strength and disposition. Persian spies count Greek numbers and note their defensive position. Artaphernes sends mounted scouts to probe Greek flanks. They find steep ravines on both sides. No way around. The Greeks chose their ground perfectly. Here's the gamble. Greek hoplites carry 70 pounds of bronze armor and oak shield. Persian infantry wears leather and linen, but Persians excel at long-range killing. Scythian archers can put arrows through bronze at 200 paces. If Greeks advance slow and steady like usual, they'll die before they reach Persian lines. If they charge the whole distance, they'll arrive breathless and broken. Miltiades studies the problem. Standard phalanx formation puts 8 ranks deep across the entire line. That spreads 10,000 men thin against 25,000 enemies. Persians will overlap the flanks and roll up the Greek line from both ends. Solution: strengthen the wings, weaken the center. Greek center thins to 4 ranks instead of 8. Wings stay thick at 8 ranks deep. Desperate tactics for desperate times. The battle plan violates every rule of Greek warfare. Thin centers break under pressure. Weakened formations invite disaster. But Miltiades sees what others miss. Persian strength lies in their center. Immortals and Sake warriors bunched together behind wicker shields. Their flanks hold second-rate troops from subject nations. Lydians, Carians, Cilicians, good fighters but not fanatics. Hit them hard and they might crack. Dawn breaks clear and windless. Persian scouts report the impossible. 10,000 Greeks advancing in broad daylight across open ground. No cavalry, no archers, just bronze and spears and shields. Artaphernes and Datis, the Persian commanders, can't believe it. Greeks always wait behind walls. They never attack in the open. They never charge across a mile of killing ground. Greek trumpets sound the advance. Paean hymns rise from 10,000 throats. Apollo, lord of the silver bow. Athena, gray-eyed goddess of war. Ares, bronze-speared killer of men. The gods march with Athens today, or they don't. Either way, Greeks advance. The Athenians reach 400 paces. Persian arrows darken the sky. Bronze points whistle overhead. Some find gaps in armor. Men stumble and fall. Shields up. Push through. 300 paces. More arrows. Denser volleys. Blood on bronze. Greeks start running. Persian commanders watch in amazement. No army charges a mile in full armor. Suicide. The Greeks will arrive exhausted and scattered. Easy targets for disciplined spear work. But something's wrong. The Greek line holds formation even at a dead run. These aren't panicked men. They're wolves. 200 paces. The Greeks are running now. Full sprint in 70 pounds of gear. Spears level. Eyes locked on Persian shields. This is where tactics end and courage begins. Aristides leads the right wing. Themistocles commands the left. Callimachus holds the center with the sacred tribe of Antiochus. Every man knows the stakes. Persian archers drop their bows and grab spears. No time for another volley. Immortals lower their shields and brace for impact. Median cavalry wheels to charge the Greek flanks, but ravines block their approach. The trap is closing. 1 mile becomes 400 yards, becomes 200, becomes nothing. The collision breaks the world. Greek bronze meets Persian leather at 20 miles per hour. The sound carries to Athens 26 miles away. Spear points punch through wicker shields. Persian swords slice between bronze plates. Blood turns beach sand into mud. The Bronze Age ends in a crash of metal and screaming horses. Greek right wing smashes through Lydian infantry like a bronze fist through papyrus. Aristides and his tribal warriors push deep into Persian ranks. Lydian spears can't match Greek bronze. Lydian shields can't stop Greek points. The Persian right crumbles. Men throw down their weapons and run for the ships. Greek left wing faces, Cilician marines. Tougher fight. These men know ships and storms and how to die standing up. Themistocles leads from the front. His spear point finds a Cilician captain's throat. Blood sprays across the sand. The line wavers. Greeks push harder. Bronze beats everything. The Persian left breaks, but the Greek center bends. Persian immortals and Sake push forward against weakened Athenian ranks. 4 ranks can't hold 8. Spears snap. Shields crack. Callimachus takes an arrow through the shoulder. Keeps fighting. Another arrow finds his thigh. He staggers but doesn't fall. The Persian center advances. This is the moment. Greek wings wheel inward like closing jaws. Persians, chasing the broken center, suddenly find enemies on 3 sides. The hammer and anvil. Miltiades, masterpiece. 25,000 becomes a mob. Discipline shatters. Units scatter. Persian nobles abandon their men and run for the ships. Callimachus falls with 3 arrows in his chest. Still fighting. Stesilaus takes a spear through the throat. Dies standing up. Epizelus goes blind from terror but keeps swinging his sword at shadows. The stories will remember their names. Heroes bleed the same as cowards, but they bleed facing forward. The slaughter begins. Greeks chase Persians across 4 miles of beach. Some reach the ships. Most don't. Bodies pile where the Charadra meets the sea. Persian blood flows so thick it stains the water red for 3 days. 7 ships captured. The rest flee east, carrying news Darius doesn't want to hear. Cynaegirus grabs a Persian ship by the prow. An axe takes his hand. He grabs with the other hand another axe. He bites the ship's rail and holds on with his teeth until a spear ends his fight. Brother of the playwright Aeschylus, the man who will write The Persians, to commemorate this day. If you value documented ancient military history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from Herodotus and Plutarch. Now back to the story. Greek losses, 192 dead. The burial mound lists their names. Callimachus of Aphidna, Stesilaus of Marathon, Polyzelus of Phlia, each name carved in stone. Each man died so Athens could live. Persian losses, 6,400. The numbers don't lie, but they don't tell the whole truth either. This wasn't just military victory. Philosophy survived. Socrates was 21 years old when Marathon happened. Plato's father fought on that beach. Aristotle's grandfather bled Persian blood into Attic sand. Democracy survived because free men chose to die fighting rather than live enslaved. The aftermath reshapes the world. Persian power never recovers from the shock. 25,000 of the great king's finest warriors beaten by 10,000 Greeks. Impossible becomes inevitable. Greek confidence soars. City-states that cowered before Persian threats now sharpen their spears and practice their phalanx drills. Euclides runs 26 miles from Marathon to Athens, bursts into the assembly covered in blood and sand. Nike, Nike. Victory, victory. Falls dead from exhaustion and wounds. The first Marathon, the last time anyone underestimated free men fighting for their own soil. His sacrifice becomes legend. Modern marathons honor his memory. News reaches Sardis 3 weeks later. Darius doesn't believe it. His scouts must be wrong. His generals must be lying. 25,000 Persians don't lose to 10,000 Greeks. But ship after ship limps into harbor carrying the same story. Marathon. Defeat. Shame. The great king plans another invasion, but death takes him 4 years later. His son Xerxes inherits the grudge and the crown. Athens celebrates for 30 days. Aristides gets a golden crown. Miltiades receives land grants and citizenship for his children. Themistocles starts planning naval expansion. The lessons of Marathon are clear. Greeks can win if they choose their ground and time their attacks. But next time the Persians will bring more men. Greek prisoners in Persian hands tell different stories. They watch 10,000 men charge across impossible ground into certain death, not because they were ordered, not because they feared punishment, because free men choose their own fate. Persian soldiers fight for gold and glory and fear of the lash. Greeks fight for something else entirely. The burial mound still stands at Marathon. 192 Athenians under a hill of earth and stone. Excavations in 1970 found cremated remains exactly where Pausanias said they'd be. Bronze spear points, iron sword fragments, pottery sherds dated to 490 BC. Physical proof that impossible happened. Recent ground-penetrating radar revealed something else. Mass graves on the Persian side of the battlefield. Hasty burials. No grave goods, no honors. Just bodies thrown into pits and covered with sand. 6,400 men who sailed from Asia expecting easy victory, who found instead that freedom costs blood and Greeks pay in full. Persian records from Persepolis mention the campaign, dry administrative language, ships dispatched, troops embarked, tribute expected from new subjects, then nothing, silence. The kind of silence that falls when empires learn they're not invincible. When 20 million subjects start wondering if Persian power might have limits after all, the ripple effects spread like cracks in stone. Egyptian priests, who served Persian masters for 13 years, start whispering about rebellion. Babylonian merchants calculate new trade routes that bypass Persian control. Lydian gold mines reduce their tribute payments. Marathon didn't just save Athens. It lit fires across the empire. Xerxes inherits more than his father's throne. He inherits shame. Persian nobles remind him daily. Greek slaves in Susa mock their masters behind silk curtains. The great king's army ran from 10,000 farmers and potters and blacksmiths. Unacceptable. Xerxes starts planning the day he takes the crown. 300,000 men, 1,000 ships, the bridge across the Hellespont. 10 years later, Thermopylae and Salamis will answer Marathon's challenge. But something else happens in those 10 years. Athens builds 200 triremes. Sparta trains every citizen from age 7. Corinth fortifies the isthmus. Greek cities that spent centuries fighting each other discover common cause. Persian gold can't buy what Persian blood couldn't take. Unity forged in the furnace of survival. The psychological impact cuts deeper than steel. Before Marathon, Persians seemed unstoppable. Cyrus conquered Lydia. Cambyses took Egypt. Darius crushed the Scythians and burned the Ionian cities. Divine kings with unlimited resources and disciplined armies. Then, 10,000 Greeks proved gods bleed like men when you stick them with bronze. Greek military thinking transforms overnight. Phalanx tactics spread from Athens to Syracuse. City-states experiment with wing formations and feigned retreats. The hoplon shield standardizes at 3 feet across. Spear lengths extend to 10 feet for better reach. Bronze working techniques improve. Marathon becomes the textbook every Greek general studies. Individual stories survive in marble and bronze. Aeschylus fought at Marathon before he wrote tragedies. His epitaph mentions the battle, not his plays. Thucydides, father was there. Xenophon's grandfather bled Persian blood. The men who shaped classical Greek thought learned courage on a beach 26 miles from the Acropolis. Persian sources tell different stories. Cuneiform tablets from Babylon describe troubles in the western provinces. Egyptian papyri mention disruption of tribute collection. Aramaic letters from Syria report unrest among Greek populations. The Persian bureaucracy uses careful language, but the message is clear. Marathon broke something that couldn't be repaired. Archaeological evidence keeps emerging. 1994 excavations uncovered Persian arrowheads embedded in Greek shields. Chemical analysis reveals bronze composition matching samples from Athenian workshops. Greek spear points show damage patterns consistent with piercing Persian leather armor. Every artifact validates Herodotus. The economic consequences reshape trade networks. Persian control of Aegean sea routes weakens. Greek merchant ships venture farther east. Athenian silver reaches markets in Phoenicia and Cyprus. Black Sea grain flows west to feed growing Greek populations. Commerce follows the sword. Victory pays dividends. Religious implications run deeper than politics. Greeks believed their gods fought at Marathon. Theseus appeared to rally the phalanx. Pan caused the Persian panic. Apollo guided Greek arrows. Divine favor shifted from Asia to Europe. Temple inscriptions across Greece commemorate the miracle. Gods choose sides. But the most profound change happens in Greek minds. Before Marathon, freedom meant governing your own city-state while paying tribute to stronger powers. After Marathon, freedom meant telling the strongest power in the world to go to hell and making it stick. The idea spreads like wildfire. From Sicily to the Black Sea, Greeks start believing they can determine their own fate. Technical innovations follow tactical success. Greek armorsmiths develop lighter bronze alloys. Weapon makers perfect spear joining techniques. Shipbuilders design vessels that can outrun Persian galleys. Military engineering advances born from necessity. Survival breeds innovation. The demographic impact reshapes Athens itself. Veteran families gain prestige and political influence. Sons of Marathon heroes dominate the assembly for 2 generations. Military service becomes a pathway to citizenship for medics and foreign residents. Victory creates opportunity. Modern battlefield archaeology reveals the human cost. Bone fragments show sword cuts and spear wounds, teeth broken by bronze weapons, rib bones pierced by arrow points, skull fractures from mace blows. The scientific record matches literary accounts. Men died horribly but died free. Persian military doctrine never fully recovers. Future campaigns rely more on overwhelming numbers than tactical innovation. The shock of Marathon creates institutional caution. Risk-taking declines. Initiative passes to enemies who remember that audacity can triumph over arithmetic. Greek city-states study the lessons obsessively. Theban generals analyze phalanx formations. Spartan kings debate wing tactics. Corinthian strategists map battlefield geography. Every detail gets examined and absorbed. Marathon becomes the foundation of Greek military science. The intelligence networks that made victory possible expand after the battle. Greek merchants in Persian ports report troop movements. Slave networks pass information across the empire. Exiled politicians carry news between cities. Victory requires preparation. Preparation requires knowledge. Cultural memory preserves what official histories might forget. Athenian pottery depicts marathon scenes for 50 years. Funeral orations reference the charge across the beach. Drinking songs celebrate fallen heroes. Popular culture keeps the story alive in ways that transcend politics. But here's what Herodotus never mentioned. Persian scouts found something else on that beach after the battle. Greek footprints in blood-soaked sand. Not walking, not marching. Running. Every single print shows men moving forward, toward the enemy, toward death, toward the one chance to save everything they loved. Not one footprint pointing backward. Modern forensic analysis of the battlefield confirms the ancient sources. Arrowhead distribution shows Persian archers targeted the Greek center where formations were thinnest. Bronze spear points cluster where the wings wheeled inward for the killing blow. Human remains show trauma patterns consistent with close-quarters fighting. Science validates history. Marathon happened exactly as the poets sang. Ground-penetrating radar surveys completed in 2015 revealed additional mass burial sites. Persian casualties exceeded ancient estimates. 9,000 bodies lie beneath the plain. Greek losses were even lower than reported. 192 became legend. 9,000 became forgotten. History belongs to the survivors. Warriors retreat. Heroes charge. Free men run toward the sound of arrows.